Hey guys, welcome back to more of the Gamecast. This is the Novembercast, and today we are pretty much talking about all things Ubisoft, just the way our doc ended up playing, because there are so many Ubisoft titles around at the moment. So, I guess before we get started, we'll just kind of touch on the fact that we've got Far Cry 4 and AC Unity coming up. Well, AC Unity's out now, obviously, but Far Cry 4 coming up, both Ubisoft titles. Which is weird.
Yeah, and I actually asked you about this earlier, and I think we both have the consensus that this has never happened before with Ubisoft, where they released two AAA titles back to back, like one week right after the next. And the first thing that comes to mind is revenue stealing. Is like one title going to steal revenue from the other? Or, I mean, obviously they've made a lot of money off of Assassin's Creed Unity already, and now Far Cry 4 is coming out. Everyone loves the Far Cry franchise, including me, but I don't know. What do you think Assassin's Creed will steal the thunder, or do you think Far Cry has stole their thunder, or what?
I mean, you know, it's hard to say, but I think we touched on it a little bit before when we kind of mentioned that, and this is sort of before we hit record, but the fact that they're two really different genres, realistically. Like, Assassin's Creed is historical, third-person action. It's a lot about plot and kind of, the parkour or whatever. Whereas Far Cry is about doing insane stuff with cars and first person and shooting people and doing just nuts stuff, right?
Yeah, a modern open world shooter, yeah.
Totally. So they kind of feel like they might be pitched at different markets, but I don't know. There's got to be enough of an overlap that Ubi must have a plan to sell them both. I don't know.
Right, and the premise is roughly the same, though. The setting is, the premise of the game, it's an open world game, and so is Assassin's Creed Unity. I mean, it's all of Paris, whereas Far Cry 4 is like an entire continent, it looks like.
I think the difference with, or at least what we've seen from Ubi in the past, is that, particularly with something like Watch Dogs, being open world doesn't mean that it's a good open world.
Yeah, right.
Where Watch Dogs was like, oh, you have all this space, but there's literally nothing in it. And I guess,
that's a good point.
Yeah, it felt really empty and dead, and it made me sad.
Even though it's richly detailed. So that's another point. So Assassin's Creed Unity is a very, very richly detailed world, as with all the other Assassin's Creeds. And Far Cry 4 is fairly detailed, but it's a lot deeper and it's more open-ended. And so, there's a difference between an open-ended game and an open-world game.
Absolutely.
The best of the best, in my opinion, is like the open-ended, open-world games. And the first thing that comes to mind is like Ultima 7. That was still like the best. I mean, it's essentially the ultimate role-playing game of all time.
I would have to agree.
And Far Cry 4 the Far Cry series is coming closer toward that Ultima feel, isn't it? But in a much more updated fashion.
I agree, and I think that's almost the allure of Ubisoft's games. They're trying desperately to get to that point where the open world feels real, and we'll talk about it a little bit later when we talk about AC Unity, but I think what they did with the world this time is just insane, and that's one of the strengths of the game, and we'll talk about it a bit more later, but I think, those two games are really different, but they're, as you say, they're going for the same thing. So I guess kind of before we get too far underway, we just thought it would be a good idea, just sort of at the start of every Gamecast, to talk about what we're playing off the channel, because, just so you guys know where our interests lie away from the camera. So, you guys might have seen I put up a raw, idiotic gameplay video of NBA.
Yes.
About a week ago, maybe? I don't know when it was, actually. Time is difficult. And so I've been playing lots of NBA. I actually recently got back into Skyrim, of all things. I was watching your 60 FPS video that you uploaded, the first one you uploaded in 60 frames.
Right.
And I was like, I need to play
Skyrim. Pulled you back into the game, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I need to play Skyrim again.
And I foreshadowed NBA 2K, or it's called NBA 2015, right? I actually included that in my Gamecast episode, the last one I did, which is just game releases that happen in any 2-week period. And I didn't expect anyone to play it. I actually didn't expect to see footage from you either. That was a refresh.
Had I.
Yeah.
I guess what's interesting, I have a weird history with the NBA franchise, or with sports games in general, I guess. Because I played when I was much younger. I owned 4 games, so this is when I was like 5. I owned 4 video games. So I owned a Nintendo 64, and a Super Nintendo. Had no games for the Super Nintendo for the longest time because we broke. I think Donkey Kong was the only game we owned, and we accidentally broke it. But
yeah.
I had Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. I had Super Mario World, or I think it's just called Mario World 64. What was the Mario World 64? Was the open world Mario game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I had that. Those were the 2 games we had for the Nintendo 64, and then I had Grand Theft Auto 3 and FIFA 14 or something. No, it would have been like FIFA. Would have been one of the first FIFAs actually. Those were the only games that I owned for ages. So I played a lot of FIFA because it was the only thing I had that wasn't like shoot people in the face all night.
Right.
And then
I could never get into the sports genre at all. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think it's just boring after a while. You're just playing the sport, and it's like if you were going to play the sport, that's what you probably do for a living or for fun. So
right. Well, the NFL simulators are pretty cool because you get to recruit a team and then run a team. You're essentially like a team manager, right? And then the gameplay itself looks like you're watching a live game on TV. In fact, like the NBA footage that you uploaded, it actually felt like a TV, and especially if you uploaded it 60 frames a second, because that's essentially how you're watching it on TV.
Well, what's crazy to me is that I don't really watch that much sport, but I watch a bit of basketball because they have some really like good Australian teams. And you know, if you watch, say, you know, one of the team I play for in the video game is the Utah Jazz, and if you watch a Utah Jazz game on TV and then you watch or you play or watch them play a game in the game, they play the same strategies, their players do the same kind of movements, they have the same kind of even down to the point where like they'll have the same kind of plays, players will foul in the same way they do in real life, so it's really detailed.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what else are you playing besides that?
So Skyrim, yeah. I've just finished replaying Far Cry 3 ahead of Far Cry 4 coming out next week.
Perfect timing. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, we'll talk about Far Cry 3 a bit in a minute. And then ahead of Assassin's Creed Unity, because I was a whole day behind because of Australia. I replayed Assassin's Creed 4 last week, and yesterday I was playing Assassin's Creed Rogue, which is the Assassin's Creed release for the previous gen consoles.
Oh yeah, right.
Which
takes place in where?
It's like roughly the same place as Assassin's Creed 4, but it's further north.
I see. Okay.
So it's like the north of the Caribbean, basically. So like America.
New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Did it take place in New Orleans or not? Or maybe that was some other.
Oh, that was Assassin's Creed Liberations.
Oh
yeah.
Yes, which was.
And that was where you would travel. The city was New Orleans. You could travel to like the bayou and the swamps and stuff.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, I think AC Rogue is I've played about, I don't know how long I played actually, because it's on the Xbox. You can't just check.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good game. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just DLC for AC4. It's this, and that. But honestly, more AC4 isn't a bad thing.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that's what I've been playing. What about you?
Well, I've been farting around with Clash of Clans lately, more often in the last month or so, and I got so much into it again, I decided to start a clan, and I realized that that's a good way to kind of extend my social reach beyond YouTube, as I'm already doing with Twitch, and I decided to start a clan, and within one day we filled the clan up with 50 people, and they were almost all from YouTube. But I started this clan, and I made an announcement, and people started joining. And once we had 20 or 30 people, all these people from the Middle East started joining, all with Arabic names. But they were joining so fast, and they were leaving so fast that chat window was scrolling faster than you could even type something in. And so I was just typing in, "Help me! Help us! What's happening?" And I think we had like 100, 200 people join during just like a 20-minute period. I think what they would do, they would join just to be able to exchange troops. Like, they'd give people troops, and then they'd ask for troops, and then as soon as they got the troops, then they'd leave.
What does being in a clan, what does it do for you?
Well, it allows you to ask for troops. You can it essentially you add another 10% to your army each time you fight,
okay.
And that's the one of the main draws for the clan. But also you can get involved in clan wars, and clan wars is essentially like big MMO raids that you're used to.
That's cool.
But against another clan. And you can't choose the clan. You can just say start a war, and then the Supercell's clan matcher kind of matches you. So it's fun. And they're all from a YouTube channel, except for a few that are from Iran, like randomly.
Yeah.
And you know, when I say I'm streaming on Twitch, I just put it there, and then a bunch of people hop over, and then
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really neat.
Yeah, it's actually a great way to keep communicating through these different platforms. What else am I doing? Shadow of Mordor. Yeah, I'm playing that off camera. I only made one video of that, and I didn't record any further. I'm also playing Assassin's Creed Unity, which was, it's been released for 2 days now, and I've been streaming it on Twitch. So all of my gameplay that I've done so far is all on Twitch.
That's interesting. There's a I don't know what his name is. There's a Let's Player whom I can't remember his name. Just as well, because no such thing as free advertising.
Right.
And he does all of his LPs on Twitch, and that's how he sort of delivers his content. So it's interesting.
I mean, just like blind Let's Playing all day, right?
Yeah, just only on Twitch. So he'll do like, he's playing, say, Assassin's Creed Unity, for instance. He'll play like an hour a night or something. Or half an hour a night, in the same way that you would record half an hour a night if you were a Let's Player.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's kind of like TV in that sense.
Yeah, and I've noticed that some of the most popular Let's Players, they tend to stream almost every day, and for hours at a time, and that's tough for me to do. I don't. It might seem that that's all I do is just play games all day, and then record some of them and upload them. But I really don't. Sometimes I'll queue them up. I'll record 3 episodes ahead of time, and then I might be busy for 2 days.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think that's and I guess that's a great segue into kind of talking about the upcoming walkthroughs that we have. And some of the challenges that uploading in 60 frames present. And I guess, for me, one of the biggest things is that I have to deal with Australian internet, so, it took me...
Oh, yes.
It took me, it took me 3 hours to upload my first video for Assassin's Creed Unity today. Which you might say, well, that's not long. It's a 30-minute video at 1080p. It's a 30-minute video at 1080p in 60 frames a second.
60 frames a second, which is twice as big as it was before.
Totally. And the challenge as well is that, because what kind of upload do you have?
Right now I have 11 megabits per second, which winds up 120 megabits, or no, 11. Yeah, it's 11 and a half megabits per second upload.
Okay, so you've basically got 11 megs.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, continue.
So it suddenly does take twice as long to upload something that it would normally take. But actually, not so much for me, because I have been uploading a lot of my series in 4K resolution, so I would render that video in 2160p or 4K. So those files were gigantic, and then I would upload them, which would take forever. But now I'm limited to pretty much 1080p. I can't, in fact, YouTube doesn't even support 60 frames per second above 1080p, so there's no point in uploading anything greater than that, because it doesn't work. They just remove any higher resolution if you're in 60 frames, which is weird.
That makes sense. Yes. Oh, I know why that is. That's to do with that's going to be their pass and bit rate that they can handle on their servers. Is they've only got so many servers with which to dole out videos, and the minute that you're like, I want Yeah, no, I see why that would be a problem. That's just too many threads. But
and not to mention the fact that very few computers would actually be able to stream like a 1440p video in 60 frames. Most of them are, a lot of browsers are struggling just to support 60 frames right now as it is, in like regular high definition.
What's interesting is that I think Google Chrome is the only browser that officially supports YouTube 60 frames. Yeah. That's only because it's Google and it's YouTube, so they actually own it, so they were able to implement that. But interestingly, if you're watching a 60 frames video on Mozilla, so Firefox, if you set it to 1080p, it automatically upscales if it's a 60 frame video. It pulls in, it changes it automatically to 60 frames without telling you. But what it does is it picks it about, I think, I tested it before, it's about 45 frames. So it doesn't go true 60, it kind of downscales it a little bit. And it's actually just in the sweet spot of kind of like watching a TV show, where TV shows are 24 frames a second or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And so you're basically watching double the TV frame rate, which is perfect for video games.
Right.
So I've started using Mozilla to watch 60 frames videos rather than Chrome, because Chrome's a bit, I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of slips when you watch it.
Yeah, it does. And actually the anti-aliasing of the video player itself isn't very good. So there's a lot of jaggies. Like it doesn't resize it properly.
Which is weird, because you think that, I don't know, you think that Google Chrome being owned by YouTube, they might have thought about that, but
well, it's essentially Microsoft all over again. Microsoft's empire monopoly, kind of forcing you to use the software. That's essentially what it's. The do no evil thing is out the window now. It's essentially Microsoft all over again.
Yeah, bloody copyright system on YouTube was the end of do no evil.
Yeah. but your upcoming walkthrough, which is Far Cry 4, begins next week. In fact, it begins the very day that it's released, and hopefully even the very hour that it's released, if they don't screw over Australian gamers, right?
Yeah.
They could. So what kind of what are we going to look forward to in this upcoming walkthrough? Like, how are you going to handle the walkthrough?
So, I guess the biggest... Okay, so I don't know. Did you play Far Cry? Which Far Cries have you played?
Well, I played Far Cry 2, and I did the intro of Far Cry 3, and I never finished Far Cry 3.
So, I guess the way I'm going to tackle it is going to be actually really different to my other walkthroughs. So the Far Cry series lends itself to doing insane things. It's all about it's just crazy action, nuts, things happening everywhere.
Right.
Which I find sometimes to be a bit not off-putting, but I sometimes find too much action to be disorienting. So when you watch an action film and you don't know who's fighting who because they try and do too much shaky cam and too many cuts or whatever.
Exactly.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do way more editing than I usually would in my Far Cry series. So it'll be 60 frames a second for sure, but I'm going to record it in 120 frames, and what I'm going to do is parts that are confusing for me we'll watch in real time, and then I'll do a slow motion replay so that the viewers can kind of see what's happening.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. So we'll still see the slow-mo in 60 frames. Hey, that's a good idea.
Which I've got my new hard drive on the way tomorrow. What day is it? So my new hard drive will arrive tomorrow, so that I have the space to kind of mess around with that a bit more. Because I have lots of storage space, but you need a crap ton if you're recording at 120 frames.
Yeah. Are you going to record directly to the hard drive or to a solid state and then transfer it?
I haven't decided yet. It's going to depend on what kind of optimization they have for Far Cry. So if it's anything like AC Unity, which is basically there's no optimization at all, then I'm definitely going to have to record to the solid state and then transfer across. Otherwise, I'm just going to drop frames.
Yeah, I'm thinking you might have to go with solid state, and then after every 15 minutes or so, just transfer that footage over to the storage device.
I can do. Fraps has a split every 4 gigabyte setting, so you can split it every 4 gigs, and then I can just write a neat script that will just transfer it across every time a new video is synced to the hard drive.
Right.
So basically, just write a script that says in this particular folder, when there's a video file of like whatever the size will be, above the size, copy it, or I guess it'll be 4 gigs. Every time a
Right.
video file of exactly 4 gigs is created, wait 5 minutes, then transfer it to the other hard drive or something.
Yep.
And that'll do.
That's what we were talking about earlier. If a little program doesn't exist to do it, you can just script it yourself.
Yeah, just write it yourself.
That's the fun thing about being either a developer or an engineer or even just a hacker. Sometimes it's you have to write your own stuff just to make your life easier.
I think it's interesting that these tools don't exist, but then you kind of think about it, right? And it's like, well, you could develop them, but they're not really universally usable.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean that's kind of where I'm going with that series. So it's going to be a little more cinematic. It's going to require a little more editing on my end, but that's fine because render times are already crazy with the 60 frames. So that's not anything new. I'll just have to spend a little bit longer editing that, I guess.
And while we're on Far Cry, why don't we talk about the franchise itself? Like which one was your favorite, and maybe which one was my favorite, and why we like it so much. And I think that it'll resonate a lot with the audience because we're going to find that we have a lot in common with the audience too.
I should think so, yeah. So you were saying that did you play? Okay, so the first Far Cry, there was the first Far Cry, then there was Far Cry Prey Edition,
which I did not play that. Yeah.
See, Prey was great. The game was okay, but the Prey edition, basically it added story, more or less, which the first game didn't really have. And it was great. It was, seriously good. And I have that, I think I have, like, an HD copy. Maybe it's not HD, but I have a copy on my Xbox 360 of that Prey copy, or that Prey edition. I was playing it the other day, and it still holds up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just fun. Yeah, so you played... So, okay, what would you say is your favorite thing about Far Cry 2? Because that is widely regarded as the best one.
Right, yeah, definitely the open world savannah and being able to roam freely with different vehicles. That was my favorite. Sometimes I just take a Jeep and just run and just drive through the whole thing.
It's just really nice.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with Skyrim where I'll just walk, you know? Yeah, no, I think that's the strength in the Far Cry series is that they made the driving mechanics so satisfying, and they're so in tune with the world that it's just nice to exist in the world, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's essentially, it felt like a driving simulator with the game wrapped around it, which was fine, though, because it just looked so pretty.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I think that's I guess my favorite game in the series is definitely Far Cry 3, but I guess not for the reason that seems obvious, which is that the story is nuts and there's a great villain and stuff. Because I thought the story, the first half of the story was great, and then you kill the main villain, spoiler alert, and then it kind of peters off and nothing really happens.
Wow.
And then you kind of you finish it, and then it's the end of the game, and you're kind of like, well, what happened? So, I guess
so it's like the story wasn't necessarily instrumental to more of the sandbox type of game that it is, I guess.
Which is weird because for me, Ubisoft, or not Ubisoft, but I suppose this is me specifically for the AC franchise. I play them because the stories are so interesting. Like, the gameplay for me is fun, but it's neither here nor there. It could be complete bollocks, but if it's a good story, I'll play it every time. Because I sort of, that's what I'm about, is I'm about kind of the story and the immersion and the writing and stuff. And what's weird to me is that I enjoyed Far Cry 3, even though they kind of, it was almost like they wrote the first half of the script and then just kind of like fluffed the second half. They were like, oh, we have to write it, and the game has to come out at some point, so let's just basically repeat the first half with a different villain.
Which does happen a lot in game development. In fact, sometimes you can even feel and see the unfinished gaps in the final product. A perfect game that comes to mind is Fallout New Vegas. Even though the story was complete, it felt like half of the wasteland wasn't complete. It's like, this was the part that they never finished.
like the strip fucking half done. Literally
Yeah,
half
right.
done. Like, they
Yeah.
had buildings which were just empty. They were ready to go, and they were empty. Yeah, oh, don't even get me started on New Vegas, man. It was such a good game, but God, there was so much potential.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about Far Cry 4? Is it going to be story heavy, or is it going to be more of the sandbox, open world heavy again?
I think they've learned, and I say this tentatively, I think they've learned that the strength in the franchise is that the story feeds on the open world nature of the game. So if they do it right, which, I mean, fingers crossed, it's Ubisoft Montreal, and they always do a great job with their script writing, they will take total advantage of the fact that the game is about the fact that you can do crazy nuts stuff in the open world. If they do that, then I think it'll be great. My concern is if they make a linear story, and I know I don't have a problem with linear stories to start with, but the problem with the Far Cry franchise is it lends itself to missions that are like, go and kill this person, but absolutely no directive whatsoever how to do it.
Right.
They're just like, and they don't even set it up. They just put a bunch of stuff near him. They have him track. Well, their favorite thing to do, and it's my favorite thing about Far Cry, is they'll say kill this person, and they'll literally just put the person in the world, who will just roam.
Right.
They'll just roam. And so you can do it however you want. My concern is if they make it too boxed in, or they make it too, you should kill them this way, or you should do the mission this way, because that was where the weakness came in Far Cry 3, I think.
Right. I see.
Yeah, so I'm definitely, fingers crossed that they don't fuck it up. Hopefully they don't, but...
Well, they could. Well, yeah, let's hope not, because I do plan to buy that as well. When I bought Assassin's Creed Unity, I was thinking, shit, I just should have waited for Far Cry 4. But, well, there's nothing stopping me from just buying both of them. But, I'm starting to spend too much money specifically on Ubisoft games, and I'm being perpetually disappointed so far.
We should, during one of your streams, we should play some of the co-op for AC Unity.
Hey, that's, we could do that.
That is, and I say this, and this is a good segue to AC Unity, but we'll talk about AC Unity later. But the co-op is stunning.
Really?
I've played 2 missions. I haven't recorded anything yet on camera. But I was playing some missions before while I was rendering, and it's just amazing. It's amazing.
I saw some perks as I was flipping through my character's abilities, and it looked like one of the perks was group healing, and then that got me thinking, oh yeah, this is obviously for co-op, I guess, right? Unless they're talking about healing your non-player character friends.
No, so it's. I think it's almost entirely co-op. But
wow,
what's really cool, and this to me is very they've learned from franchises like Dark Souls, where in AC Unity, if you need help, you can just drop a friend in. You just send out a quick request to someone that owns the game, either on your Steam account or your Uplay account, whatever. They can just hop in and help you out, almost instantly.
Cool. Which means that you have to keep the Steam overlay open. You can't disable the Steam overlay in the game because if you plan to play co-op,
you don't necessarily need it because it's got an in-game what's the word for it? It's got an in-game matchmaking? It's got an in-game matchmaking tool.
I see.
Automatically adds all of your friends from Uplay and Steam and says like, this friend is from Uplay or this friend is from Steam, for instance. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, and who is the developer again? Again, it's Ubisoft Montreal, isn't it?
For AC?
Yeah, for Assassin's Creed Unity.
Well, yeah, but I guess the thing. It is obviously, yeah, but the thing about Assassin's Creed that's different to every other Ubisoft game is that one studio tends to be like the lead, so in this case, I think it might have been Montreal this time.
Yeah, it was Montreal, yeah. Just like Far Cry 4, that was the lead studio for Far Cry 4 too.
And so someone asked me the other day, I was having a conversation with someone at work, and he was like, well, how do they do both at the same time?
Yeah.
And it's because Ubisoft Montreal is like, they're like head office, basically, of Ubisoft, so they just control everything. They don't necessarily develop it. They just say, this is what we want from the franchise, this is what we want in this installment. So what's interesting to me about this particular case, where you've got AC Unity and Far Cry 4, is that Montreal did different things on both. So It was mostly Ubisoft France and Ubisoft. It's not. I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. Is it? Hang on. Let me. I'm gonna Google this so I don't fuck it up. But it was somewhere in Italy that did most of the development, most of the coding for AC Unity. But they just did the coding, and then someone else just did, you know, some other aspect. So it's weird. Right. It's like they diversified a lot more than they usually do. Which could explain why it's so poorly optimized.
Next-gen games. So
and,
this Ubisoft title, it's the first time they've released something exclusively for the next-gen consoles and the PC. So there's no longer any excuse for a poorly optimized game. You know, the excuse before was, oh, well, it's PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 is just so hard to develop for because it's archaic hardware. Well, you don't have that excuse anymore. There's no luxury of blaming a whole generation of consoles on your woes. But then they did it again. You know.
So then the question is, are they just being lazy?
Yeah, it's possible.
Because they got away with it with Black Flag somehow. No one complained about it. So,
right.
Yeah.
And furthermore, well, Black Flag was their transition game, right? That was for both next gen and the current gen, right? Which I now call last gen. And yeah, I think that's how they got away with it. It's like, well, this is the last time we have to deal with the Xbox 360. But now look what we're dealing with. You know, we're dealing with some. Even though the detail is just staggeringly beautiful, there's some parts of Assassin's Creed Unity that feel like you're walking through a painting. It's just gorgeous, especially like the cathedrals and the monasteries in Paris. But I think what they have not done yet is figured out how to optimize their level of detail and the distant level of detail. That's what's really killing them. And then also I've noticed that the cutscenes are where I get the biggest frame drops, and it's because of the depth of field effect. I don't know why they can't get the depth of field right. It's a fairly basic, like a graphics technique.
But what's weird to me, at least, from a developer perspective, what's weird is that it's all great and good to have all these graphic settings, and that's no worries, and that's fine. But you need to have some system where you can specifically control very delicate systems within the game to optimize your graphics. So as you say, you know, the biggest problem they have is that their vertical sync taps out frame rate. There is no question that Ubisoft's vertical sync is broke.
Yeah, that's why I just turned it off, and I dealt with screen tearing. Yeah.
So the best way to do it is to force it through the NVIDIA control panel.
I see.
Because that uses NVIDIA's proprietary tech rather than Ubi's, because Ubi's is broken. But they need to add settings, and they need to have, you know, a slider for crowd density. They need to have a slider for depth of field and cutscenes, and a slider for depth of field in game. And they need to have options, because currently it's like, you know, they don't even have levels of TXAA. They just have, do you want TXAA anti-aliasing on or off?
All right.
You know, like it's just small stuff that would have taken them, you know, a few days of coding. It's not that hard. They've already got all those options in the game.
Right.
Spend a few days of coding, code it into the UI, give us the option, and you're golden.
And they're using existing engines. I mean, they're just improving the engine each time. So, you know, all of this tech already exists. I don't know why they couldn't have just spent more time on optimization. Oh well.
Particularly given how good the Anvil engine is that they use, because it's gorgeous. Like I'm looking at I'm standing on a rooftop, looking out over Paris currently, and I've got everything on the highest settings basically.
Yeah.
I've got forced. I also talk about some graphics issues I've had, but I've got forced post-processing atrioscopic filtering on, and it looks gorgeous. Like I've got all the settings maxed, and I've got additional NVIDIA tech using the enabled, and it's beautiful. But one of the things I noticed at the start of the game, and periodically at the start of when I start playing the game, I've had the game open now for, what time is it? I've had the game open for about 6 hours since I got up. Because I've been rendering and stuff, so I've been playing a lot. One of the things I noticed when I first start off the game is it takes about half an hour for the anti-aliasing to work properly.
Really?
So I get,
as if
still
the intro scenes weren't even part. They didn't have anti-aliasing built into them, or what?
Yeah. Or even now. So I'm probably like 10 hours into the game, maybe well, 5 or 6. So I'm in the open world, and even when I boot up the game, it takes half an hour of playtime for the anti-aliasing to start working properly. And it's bizarre. And it just doesn't work, and it's I'll have to wait for half an hour for it to work. It's very strange. And I think that's to do with the TXAA. It's because it's so graphically demanding that it has to it has to ramp up to it. But I don't know. It's weird.
But speaking of your, so you've been playing for 6 hours now. You're also doing a full walkthrough of Assassin's Creed Unity on your channel, right?
Correct.
And it looks like you just got your first video up, and that's what we're going to talk about your giveaway in just a second too. And so you are doing the full walkthrough of Assassin's Creed Unity, and I decided, luckily I didn't commit to a walkthrough, and there's no reason to since you're doing one on your channel. Just wanted to remind the viewers that the Assassin's Creed Unity walkthrough will be on your own channel, on DCM's channel. And then I'm going to do some streaming of Assassin's Creed Unity on Twitch. But, my gameplay is much different. Mine is essentially an idiot trying to figure out how to use the controls. And I still haven't figured out the damn controls. And it's been like 5 hours now. The assassin, whatever his name is, I can't even remember his name. It's kind of a forgettable assassin this time.
Arno is his name.
Oh yeah, right, Arno. Yeah, I even mentioned how to spell it.
Arno, Victor Dorian.
I see.
I don't know what his middle name is.
It's still got that monkey, climb like a monkey syndrome, where he likes to climb on everything, and then he gets stuck on something, and then I can't figure out how to get him off, or just how to get him to drop, or stop what he's doing, and stop.
See, that's
stop climbing on the furniture.
That's actually, and I don't mean to be that person. That's actually a problem that the Assassin's Creed games have when you play on PC with a mouse and a keyboard.
Yeah.
And that's why I use the controller specifically for Assassin's Creed. I don't really use it for much else, unless it's like Assassin's Creed-esque, so like Shadow of Mordor. So you have, it's just really crappy using the mouse and keyboard because you have no fidelity of the camera, and all of the movement is based around the camera. So
interesting. So I really do need to invest into a controller.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I don't know. Everything's really expensive here, so I don't know how much it would be over there. But I'm using the Xbox One controller for my current playthrough of basically anything that I use a controller for, and it's magnificent. It's a really good controller. I don't even like consoles, but it's a great controller.
Yeah. And then also for your Assassin's Creed Unity walkthrough, you seem to want to be able to get other people to play it because you're doing a giveaway. And it looks like your giveaway is, you've announced it on your first Assassin's Creed Unity video, which was just launched. And I'm putting a link in an annotation to that video right here on the screen right now. Why don't you just mention the giveaway really quick? And
so the giveaway is... The giveaway is pretty simple, I guess. Basically, all you have to do to enter is in the comments of the video, just leave a comment saying what Assassin's Creed game you'd love to see from Ubisoft. So, what setting you'd love to see, potentially historical characters you'd like to see, in the comments section, and you basically can enter the draw just by doing that.
Cool.
And I will announce the winner. It might be announced before this video goes up, depending on how busy you end up being. But it's basically 12 p.m. Friday, Australian Brisbane time. So I didn't bother doing the conversions because it's way too complicated for everyone's time zones. But
yeah.
Friday the 14th would be when it will be in my time. So Friday the 14th, 12 p.m. Brisbane, Australia time is when that will end, and then I'll post a video with the winner. And if you guys give that video enough love, then there'll be a second giveaway as well.
Cool.
So there'll be a second copy potentially up for grabs.
Cool.
So yeah.
Good. And then regarding other upcoming walkthroughs on your channel and mine, why don't we talk about those? I really can't see that far out into December, but I think you can see far enough ahead into November to know that you want to do a Dragon Age Inquisition walkthrough on your channel,
I can
right?
see. I can currently see till March. Unfortunately, I've got
really?
my schedule. Yeah, so I've got Assassin's Creed Unity. So that's about probably at least 100 videos. If you
Yeah,
learn
at least.
anything.
At the very
If you learn
least.
anything from my walkthrough of AC4, it's going to be at least 100. Then, so yeah. Whoa! That was weird. I just fell through the world in AC Unity. I don't know why that happened. I'm now falling through the catacombs and the bottom of the world. Good grief. So
Wow,
yeah,
a clipping issue, huh?
yeah. That's weird. Oh, I'm dead. Cool. So yeah, I'll be playing Assassin's Creed Unity, doing the full walkthrough of that. And that'll be at least 100, if not more. I want to do a thing afterwards where I get all the collectibles as like a talk show. So just where I chat with the audience and just kind of maybe a bit more about my personal life, so you guys can get to know me on a more personal level. So that'll be good.
With collectibles running in the background, huh?
Well, yeah, exactly. So something to watch if you're interested, because collectibles themselves aren't super exciting.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to kind of ignore those and kind of work on the main quest and the side quest of AC Unity, because it's just so big.
So much stuff.
Yeah.
I'm actually currently collecting the what are they called? The cockades?
Yeah, the cockades.
Yeah. Currently,
I noticed them all over the place, and I still don't understand what those are for, but
yeah, I don't know. They unlock a bunch of different colors and a bunch of stuff for your armor or whatever. But yeah, so that's Assassin's Creed Unity, and then I'll also be doing Dragon Age Inquisition, which is the game that I have been the most excited for since Skyrim. That's saying something, because Skyrim was like, for me, that was huge. Right. So Dragon Age Inquisition, I will be doing. Whereas, other games, I'll sort of do stuff off camera, I'll collect collectibles, I'll level up, I'll grind, whatever. I'm playing every second of Dragon Age on camera, because I'm so excited. We just finished Dragon Age 2 on my channel, like 2 or 3 days ago. Dragon Age 2 is a piece of shit, which is fine. But Dragon Age Origins is phenomenal. It's one of the best games I've ever played.
Right, and you've got a full walkthrough of that too, right?
Oh,
on
total.
Your channel? Yeah.
I've been recently redoing the thumbnails for that, so I've been kind of rewatching some of the videos of that, and it's it's a good walkthrough if you're into some kind of slower paced walkthroughs.
Right.
So I'll be doing Dragon Age Inquisition, and basically my plan until March, and it's going to take me until March, probably longer, is to basically complete both games. My plan for now is to do as many videos as possible, as frequently as possible, until I kind of run out of time and I get back into university and stuff, and then it'll be one video of Assassin's Creed, one video of Dragon Age, day on, day off. So,
and then what about? And then of course you're doing a Far Cry 4 full walkthrough on my channel too. So you actually got like 3 concurrent AAA games that you have to handle.
I'll be lovely and busy. And then obviously March, and this is why I'm booked up till March, even longer than that. March is the new Batman Arkham game.
Oh wow,
Arkham Knight. So then I'll be playing that as well, because that's a big franchise that we're a fan of. And that should have me booked up till about the middle of next year, which is terrifying.
Right.
It's so much content, but I'm excited. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. And are you going to... Well, you know that I'm going to be doing, obviously, a full Witcher 3 walkthrough on my channel, which starts in February, and of course you're the one who sponsored that whole walkthrough. But that, of course, leaves a gap between... There's a gap that I have in December and January, and I'm not sure how to handle the gap yet. I'm obviously going to be doing Skyrim and Fallout. I'll be continuing those, and I've still got The Evil Within to finish. I've got... Watch Dogs to finish, but I want to scale back all of those franchises to just like one video per week, and that does leave a AAA gap. I want to cover some AAA game in December, and I'm just not sure which one that will be yet.
Yeah, there's nothing really. It sounds dumb because we've had like the most ridiculous 2 weeks of games. Well, we still have. But yeah, there's nothing really out.
Yeah, there was a drought. There was a summer drought, and then there was a deluge, which in November, which took all of 2 weeks to get all these games out, and now there's going to be another drought over the holidays.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I do. One thing that does help is the Gamecast episodes that I publish. I uncover all of these interesting titles that I otherwise would never have even known existed, and actually that's why the audience likes it. It's because there's so many titles that are released on any given week, and we just don't realize it until it's all up there on one page, and then I'm going through and showing the footage of all these games. So maybe it'll just be that. It'll be me trying out all of these smaller indie games that are released on a weekly basis. Yeah, some of them are just amazing. Like, the best indie game that I've covered lately is The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. If for no other reason, their totally new approach to modeling the 3D world, and they used photogrammetry, and I haven't seen any major developer use photogrammetry yet the way that they have, and it's just such an amazing and convincing way to do 3D modeling. I don't know why more developers aren't using that. And then there's other weird little releases like The Binding of Isaac. There's a new one, I think it's called The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. I'm not going to play it, but those are the kind of games that I might cover. I might do
just
raw
kind of small fun ones.
Yeah. To hold us over until a big AAA release.
It might keep you fresh as well for a big AAA, because I think the challenge with doing YouTube obviously is that it's a lot of time. Like it takes physically a lot of time sitting at the computer, obviously, but it's also a lot of energy to maintain across, however many videos you do. Yeah. So I think doing small, kind of fun, easy to record, 1 or 2 videos, upload, schedule, easy, it's sort of nice and refreshing, as well.
Yeah. And then I was also on the prowl for a big open-ended, open-world game. Like a role-playing game, and I just have not found one. For the life of me, no one is producing a game like that. I was hoping that would be coming up in 2014 or early 2015. So The Witcher 3, The Witcher 3 will come fairly close to that. But you're still bound to one character. It's him. It's Geralt the Riv. I mean, you can't be your own character, and you're in a medieval world. There's a definite story, about what is it called? The Wild Hunt. So you're bound to that story, you're bound to the character, and you're bound to the abilities that a Witcher has. It's not like, I'm looking for a game like Ultima 7, where everything was just so open-ended. You could interact with literally anything in the world. Combinations of the ways that you would interact with stuff would affect other parts of the game profoundly. Dwarves in the game would have different moods. Like, people would have mood swings in the game. People would get pregnant. Then you could take care of like an unattended baby. It's crazy, crazy stuff that almost felt like you were role-playing in real life.
You should definitely check out Dragon Age Inquisition then, if that's what you're after, because you basically just described BioWare's Dragon Age formula. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, BioWare, the last time that that anything came close to that, Skyrim came somewhat close. I mean, Skyrim does feel like an open-ended, open-world sandbox game, but it's still, you're still bound to a lot of things. I mean, you're bound to the ground. You're the Dragonborn, and you have dragon shouts. There's not a whole lot of combos. I mean, you can customize your character, so that's nice. It feels more open-ended, but it's. I remember the last time that anything came close was the Neverwinter Nights, which was the original one back in 2003.
God, that was a while ago.
Yeah. And it felt like a Dungeons and Dragons game. In fact, you could have that Dungeons and Dragons stats console up, and you could see exactly how it's rolling the die and how many points of damage it's happening to each part of your body. And that's the kind of thing I was looking for, actually. Something more like that, but it was still a story, and it was still kind of like that top-down. It was a 3D game, but it was a top-down game. You could attract followers, you could attract familiars, but it felt too procedural still. So that's what I'm looking for, is an open-world, open-ended RPG. And if someone ever produces one, I'll play it end-to-end.
I don't know if that's real. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the market's at a place yet where that's going to be happening anytime soon. But I mean, I play actual D&D. Like I'm a dungeon master for a bunch of people.
Oh, I see.
So actually, I create the world and I basically run D&D campaigns for people that I know. So I know exactly what you mean. 100%.
That's essentially what I'm talking about. That, but in a game.
I tell you what, that would be very difficult. But if someone could pull that off, that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I thought of getting into game development and then attempting something like that, but that can't be the first game that my development team would attempt. Yeah, it would have to be. You'd have to kind of lead up to that. You'd have to build your brand first before you attempted something new like that.
That would just be that. Yeah, I'd be really cool if someone could do it though.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling another game that might approach that might be Fallout 4. Now, because Fallout 4 is just going to be so massive, and it does feel like an open-ended, open world sandbox game. They'll come fairly close. I'm sure you'll be bound to a story, and you'll be bound to the wasteland, in a post-apocalyptic setting. But hopefully, they make it even more open-ended than Fallout 3 was. Fallout 3 felt like a real role-playing game, even though there were some quirks, there's some drawbacks to playing Fallout 3 in a like a what do they call it, the Havoc engine and the Gamebryo engine. There were drawbacks to that, but all in all, it was fairly close to what I described.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Bethesda. If anyone can do it, it's Bethesda, and they've proved that time and time again.
And one other possibility that I've actually been toying with is building a series of mods to create my own story and then put a Fallout character through that story by using my mods and then recording it as a story and then publishing it on my channel. It won't feel like a game, it'll be more like a story. And then I've just kind of remodeled parts of the world around the character so I can tell the story. So there's another possibility.
That's a cool idea. See, there's rather than mods, but just like on a more basic level, there are some YouTubers who kind of do like they'll do like they'll tell a story with Skyrim, sort of using the cinematic camera angles and whatever, and they'll be like quick stories. But I think the way that you're suggesting it, you kind of build a framework with which to use the game to tell a story, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, like a skit, essentially.
Almost,
but this would be an episodic story that would take place across probably like a whole season if I did something like this.
So kind of like what are they the
Nuka Break? Is that what you're thinking of?
I was thinking of them and the funny British guys who do Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
The Yogscast is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. I can't remember what they were called. Because they have a series where they like build stories in Minecraft, right? And then they play the story.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Because I remember they have I don't know what it's called, but they have a famous series where like someone's built a world for them, and they kind of play a story within the world that they've made the world to frame the story, if that makes sense.
Oh, cool. It was like an audience-built story, and then they just put their characters through it. Well, that's a great way to interact, Yeah, we'll have to think of ways to interact with our audience more in that respect. But one thing for sure, that since we've partnered with each other, we've definitely been sharing our viewers. My viewers have gotten more familiar with you, and the viewers that you had are obviously more familiar with me because we're helping each other's channel grow.
Totally.
And I think, and then I'm also attracting new viewers I've discovered on Twitch. So whenever I open myself up to a new platform, I find even more people who either were lurking for so long, but then they finally start chatting on Twitch because you can do it real time. And it's, oh, cool, I finally get to chat with you. I've been watching your channel for 4 years. And then I'm thinking, well, that's awesome. But then also, well, why the hell didn't you speak up and say hi or something? I do like interacting with my audience.
Totally. No, I'm 100% with you there. It's weird. It's the minute that there's like a real-time mechanism, people want to chat. And it's like, that's cool, That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
weird. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover in this episode. So, is there anything else you want to close with? Again, you're starting Far Cry 4 next week on my channel. You're starting Dragon Age Inquisition next week on your channel. You've also already started Assassin's Creed Unity on your channel. Those are the big hits, right?
Correct. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is if you guys have a question for us for next time, just drop it in the comments down below and we'll add it to our doc, and then we'll sort of mention who asked it. So if you have anything specific you want to ask, they can just be random questions that you would like to know or things you would like our opinion on. Just drop them in the comments down below and we'll do our best to answer them in the next Gamecast, which should be in December.